All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm Dylan Denmark on Denmark and Marsh. No Graham today. He is busy working down a South Florida game. So just me. I'm going to give you a quick little recap of the Florida State game. Go for about 10 minutes, talk about what's the most recent news is with the head coaching search for Florida. Florida rolls Florida State 40-21. It's the Jaden Ball game. It will forever be the Jaden Ball game. Runs for 38 carries, 266 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The only person that ever ran for more rushing yards was Emmitt Smith. That was obviously way back in the late 80s when he ran for about 316 yards against New Mexico. Um, it was pretty evident from the jump that they were trying to give him the football and give it to him as many times as they could. And it seems like, where was this all season? Other than obviously forget the Long Island game. That game is meaningless. But every other game, you could have done this against USF, and it seems like it would have worked, or any other team, and you might have won a game or two more. But doesn't matter. The season's over. Florida's season ends at 4-8. Florida State ends the season at 5-7. They will not be going to a bowl game this year, and Florida State has gone 2 years without winning a game on the road. The last time Florida State won a road game was when they beat Florida in the Swamp in 2023. Pretty incredible. Mike Norvell, still the coach at Florida State next year. That'll be interesting to see how long, if he's not able to get a quarterback or change some things on his offense, if he stays the entire season. But that's a story for another day because it's all about Jaden Ball and what he was able to do today. Before we get rolling, if you're on YouTube and you're watching, I know a couple people are popping in now. You might pop in later tonight or tomorrow because I know I'm sure most people like me, like if you see my eyes peeping up, it's because I'm watching the Iron Bowl. I think Auburn's got a pretty good chance of winning this game. We'll see how they play against Alabama at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're about 3 subscribers, I believe, away from 500 subscribers. So like and subscribe there. Get us rolling. We've had pretty good numbers. And I'm also on Twitter at 1010XL Denmark. Pretty good game for Florida. Defensively, running the football. It's funny, like the start of the game, one of the broadcasters, the people doing the play-by-play, they were talking about the strength of this Florida State team was the defense. I think it was talking about the interior of the defensive line. And I kind of sat there to myself. I was like, I didn't know Florida State had strength to their team. I didn't know that. I didn't know that Florida State had a strength to their team. I mean, other than the Alabama game where they out-physicaled them and they ran for like 280 yards, basically what Florida did to them tonight. I don't know what Florida State did good all year. I mean, other than the one game they had against Wake Forest where they beat them 42-7. Florida State lost to a terrible NC State team last Friday night, and NC State was like ranked either 110th or worse in every defensive statistical category. And I had no idea how this game was going to go. How bad you've played since the interim coach has come in, Billy Gonzalez. I know that they played well against Georgia, and they put up a good fight against Ole Miss on the road. But you played horrible against Kentucky on the road, and you played horrible last week against Tennessee, and they jump on you 31-0. You look like you're disinterested in even playing the game anymore. And tonight it was good. I think it was, I don't know what it really means other than Florida State's not going bowling and your season's over finally, which, it's funny. You sit here, you think about this team. This is probably the most disappointing team ever in Florida football history. And I'm glad it's over, that we don't have to continue doing this misery. It wasn't but 6 months ago that Billy Napier in mid-July is in Atlanta, I believe it was, at SEC Media Days. And he's talking about this is the best team we've ever had and spot the ball and talking about the schedule. We're not talking about the schedule. And then take but 2 weeks before you lose to USF. And then you throw DJ Lagway throws 5 interceptions against LSU, and you can't put up 50 yards of offense against Miami in a first half. You have 1 first down on a 4th down. You weren't able to convert a single 3rd down against Miami. You beat Texas. You beat Mississippi State. Napier gets fired, and then the wheels fall off. This was an absolutely terrible season considering all the talent they had. And you're going to look at, the receivers that you had. on the outside. I know a lot of them got hurt throughout the year. The offensive line was projected to be one of the top offensive lines in the country. Obviously, didn't happen that way. The defense was good for most of the season up until that Kentucky game. The last 3 games, Florida gave up. It was something ridiculous, like something like 800 yards rushing against Kentucky, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. And I think Florida had given up 900 yards in every game up until that. From every game, from game 1 up into Georgia, they had like 900 yards rushing given up. And then the next 3, they gave up like 800. Florida was beaten up all year. And so it was a very disappointing season, but congrats to the seniors. It was the last game in the Swamp. They get to go on their senior night. And, you got to keep Jaden Ball. Whoever the next coach is, it looks like it's going to be Jon Sumrall. We're going to jump into that in a second, according to ESPN sources. But, yeah, Jaden Ball is number 1 for the offense. That's got to return for the Florida team. And then defensively, it's got to be Myles Graham. You're 2 of your best players, one on offense, one on defense. They're young. Both sophomores, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I know Ball is. So we'll see how that goes. But obviously we can worry about that in the next week or so when the transfer portal opens up. It's going to open up in the first week of December, which is December 1st is Monday. So the calendar is going to move pretty quick. All right, coaching search. It's not Lane Kiffin. For the people that have been following this, I think most of us in the chat know this. Sources came out today. ESPN put out that Jon Sumrall is the favorite to be the coach at Florida. We would assume that we're going to get a lot more clear picture tomorrow. I wonder from the Sumrall front, I think what's going to happen is everybody's waiting for the big domino effect for the Lane Kiffin. So I feel like I was the only person all week saying, if Ole Miss wins and A&M loses Friday night, which they did, you're not going to get a decision from Lane Kiffin until either late Saturday night or sometime Sunday, because the Iron Ball doesn't kick off till 7:30, and right now Alabama's up 3-0 halfway through the first quarter. And I'm like, this is all feasible. Ole Miss obviously should be Mississippi State. There was a lot of money going in. If you looked at the spreads and, the money lines, a lot of money was rolling in on Texas because Texas was the home team. And then Texas ends up beating Texas A&M. So you're not going to get a decision from Lane Kiffin until late Saturday night or Sunday. And apparently Ole Miss AD and Lane Kiffin met earlier today. There was no details that came out from that meeting that I've seen. Excuse me. So I think a lot of people are waiting for that domino effect to start, and then everything else is going to fall in place. Jed Fish was the favorite on the betting odds Thursday morning, Thanksgiving morning. And it seems like that's shifted from him to now Jon Sumrall. Now, Sumrall was the lead candidate for Auburn as well. From a couple of things that you read and see, it looks like Auburn's moving on from Sumrall. Sumrall has a lot of ties to Auburn. And, I mean, let's be honest, Scott Strickland loves those G5 Louisiana people. He's not gonna. He doesn't want someone that's going to come in here with big brass balls and say, I want to run the show. This is what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to do that. This is how I want my structure to be. This is how I want my team to be. Scott Strickland wants a yes man. I know every Florida fan hates that. And I'm right with you. I don't really care for him. I don't think he's good at his job. But that's just where we're at right now. And until he gets fired or something changes to where Florida's able to get a president, or if Scott Strickland just up and leaves like the LSU AD did, this is what we're stuck with. And I believe that, I'll be pretty confident that whoever the next coach is going to be here for another 3-4 years, and they're going to get fired, and we'll be having this conversation again, just like we have been for the last month or so. So we'll know more tomorrow on the Sumrall front. He's the Tulane coach previously. He was at Troy. He's got a decent winning record. I think it's almost identical to what Billy Napier had. I think he's 41-11. And He's a defensive guy, which I really don't care for. I'd rather have an offensive play caller. That was why Lane, to me, was the number one person, not only because of what he was able to do as a head coach and what he's able to do, if you look at his history from the last 10 years, but because he's an offensive play caller. He knows how to get the most out of his offense. You would never have to worry about a quarterback or a quarterback, like you saw last year with Ole Miss, having starting with Simmons and going to Trinidad. Wherever Lane Kiffin goes, whether he stays at Ole Miss, goes to LSU, if he were to come to Florida, like Lane Kiffin, regardless of where he goes, he's always going to have offensive talent. Offensive guys are always going to follow Lane Kiffin, whether it be the quarterback, the receivers. Those guys are smarter. They know that Lane Kiffin's going to put him in the best situation to succeed and get him to the league. And you wanted that with Florida, and it didn't happen. Let me see. I'm trying to search through a couple comments here as we get rolling here. It's hilarious. We're going through another G5. Let's see. Kiffin decision tomorrow, more than likely. Hell no to Sumrall. Yeah, I think at this point, it's either going to be Sumrall or Jedd Fisch. The Brent Key storylines have been really quiet, which is kind of surprising. Brent Key has been like the only one of the few really good Power 4 programs that has a good coach that has not extended him as of yet, as of the night of November 29th. So we'll see. I think we're going to have a pretty good picture and pretty good indication on what's going to happen tomorrow. But we'll see. I'm pretty low, though. I think it's 3 years at max. You fire him, and then we're having the same conversation, which isn't fair to the coach. I mean, you're supposed to wait and see what it looks like, because it's just going to be the same thing that we've had with all the other coaches the last 15 years, with Muschamp, with McElwain, with Mullen was a little different, but mostly for Mullen and Billy Napier. 3 of those 4 coaches, it's okay, let's wait and see. We don't really know much about this guy. It's okay. He's been a coordinator here. He's had some, success at a head coaching level at a Colorado State like McElwain, or Louisiana like Napier, or like Muschamp at Texas. And it's like, okay, everything is coach speak in the offseason. Everything is, okay, let's see how you're doing recruiting. Recruiting's decent. Okay. But you don't know what you have as a coach until the season gets here. So, I mean, I know that's not what fans, you want to hear, a lot more things about your coach. And this was supposed to be off season that, Florida looked like they were going to go out and get a big guy. Not going to happen. That was why I was one of the people that was on the front of saying you should have fired Napier last year. I said it 100 times, and I'll say it again. Napier should have been fired at the end of last year after his 3rd year, and that would have been that. You were the biggest program that was open. The big-time jobs that were open a year ago were North Carolina and West Virginia, and it was a bunch of other mediocre G5 programs. That was it. Now you look up, and Arkansas has an opening. Auburn, LSU, Florida, Penn State's still open. It'll be interesting to see. A lot of news changes at the 11th hour. So, although all signs are leading towards Sumrall right now as we speak, and he really wasn't the top guy up until this morning. It was yesterday, and the day before was Jedd Fisch. I saw a report, I don't know how true it is, on Twitter that Lincoln Riley, that Florida didn't have any interest in them. Shocker. I mean, what else do you expect from Scott Strickland and the athletic director? But, this information changes fast. LSU was looking at Billy Napier and Lincoln Riley and a couple other candidates 4 years ago. They called Brian Kelly at the 11th hour, and then Brian Kelly gets a job right after. So something like that can happen. I don't think it's going to happen like Kenny Dillingham, Arizona State coach. There's been no talks whatsoever on him coming to Florida. So it'll be a wait and see. I would expect by noon tomorrow we get pretty good clarity on what Jon Sumrall's decision is going to be. I would expect Lane Kiffin to have a decision, because if somehow Auburn's able to beat Alabama, I don't see any way that Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss. And then once that domino falls, everything else is going to fall into place, and then everybody else is going to be searching for a coach. So it'll be we got another. Well, it's 8:30, so we got another about 16 hours to know where the big fish in the pond is going to go, and then go from there. Yeah, I'm just not. It's just the same thing year after year. It's mediocrity at its highest level. Scott Strickland doesn't want to do anything that's that's crazy and make a big splash, and he's perfectly content with that, which is fine. But obviously, Gator fans don't care about that. A lot of fans talk about the everything school and basketball is good. The only thing that matters is football to me. I don't care about what swimming is like and track. I'm a big track guy, but at the end of the day, baseball's been good, softball's been good, football's the only thing that matters. And if you're able to get a good football coach, just like every other team, you can succeed. And we're in a different era where a lot of coaches now, they're not jumping ship and just automatically hop into a better school. Clark Lea signed an extension with Vanderbilt. Signetti signed an extension with Indiana earlier this year. Drinkwitz signed an extension with Missouri. We live in a different day and age of college football. So I don't know. Last year, nobody was firing their coach. Every SEC coach came back last year, and the only thing that most people were saying was, well, we have NIL and we're trying to save money for revenue share and yada, yada, yada. And that didn't last but, 2 months to the season when Arkansas fired their guy, and then Florida fires their guy, and then LSU fires their guy. So, everyone's trying to navigate this new college football and what it's going to lead to, and what it's going to look like until you get some kind of stability. I don't know what changes, if there will be anytime soon, with the NIL or with revenue sharing, because you're going to come to a point where the revenue sharing is where the schools can pay the players. Revenue sharing and NIL is not the same. The NIL is anybody, like a booster, for example, or some sponsor pays the athlete. Well, the revenue sharing, the school pays the athlete. So, we're still brand new in all of this, and we'll see, how schools manage this and what they're able to do, and say, okay, are you able to, front load this? If you fire a coach and bring a new coach in, how much money is left on those two things? Because, colleges don't have a money problem. They have a spending problem. And, they spend a lot of money on, a lot of buildings and a lot of, administrators and all that. And, then the money goes dry. Not really dry, but there comes a point where when you try to do something like Florida's doing and LSU's doing, and you want to spend $90 to $100 million on a coach for over the span of 6-7 years, when you're already paying 3 other coaches that you fired within the last 7 years, and and then you have the NIL, and then you have, on top of the staff you have to hire, coordinators now are getting paid $2 or $3 million a year, and then you have the rest of the staff. I mean, Billy Napier had more guys on his staff than he did players, seemingly, and yet somehow that didn't work because they didn't know how to count to 11 on special teams. So, needless to say, we're going to wait till tomorrow and see. Any other comments before I get out of here? Because I'm trying to get back to watching this Iron Bowl. If you're watching this, remember to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Denmark and Marsh. We were only about 3 subscribers away, I believe, last I saw, from 500 subscribers, as Alabama's inside the 5-yard line, up 3-0, as we're nearing the end of the first quarter. Let's go Auburn. I want Auburn to win this game. Other than no reason to enter a little bit of chaos in the playoff picture. LSU almost beat Oklahoma earlier. I didn't really watch any of it other than the highlights that were being posted throughout the game. which is pretty wild. Oklahoma was at home too. Mateer connected on a long throw to beat LSU 17-13. And yeah, so looks like that's it. We might do a show tomorrow. Graham might pop in here and give his thoughts, and we might talk more on what the new news is. But as of right now, Sumrall is the favorites. I would lean, I guess, Jedd Fisch would be the number 2, and whatever it is, the decision's got to be made pretty quick, because the longer you wait in this process, the less candidates you're going to have, and there's already not a lot of candidates that are good that are available. It's Jedd Fisch, it's Brent Key, Kenny Dillingham, Jon Sumrall, and we'll see. Apparently, I saw DJ Durkin. Depending on how this Auburn game goes, if Auburn wins, they might keep DJ Durkin as their coach. So that might fill in one spot, as Alabama just scored a touchdown, make it 10-0. So that'll do it for me. I'm Dylan Denmark, and we'll catch you possibly tomorrow if we have new